What is going on, guys? PixCam20 back in. I just want to introduce you guys to the Peugeot RCZ Cup, as we have RCCs there, we have RCCs here, we have RCZs everywhere, and yeah. I'm just gonna get straight to it, guys. I am not happy with what Polyphony is doing with this game. I don't know why they have not been able to nerf the RCZ on the Group 4s. You can see everybody and their mamas is using this car, except for a couple of people like Natural is actually using the TT Cup. Someone else is using the McGann, and I believe somebody else is using a 4C. But other than that, if you're not using an RCC, basically you are not competitive on this lobby, as this just has too much of an OP straight line speed compared to the other Group 4 cars, and that's basically the reason why it's been dominating Group 4 in the past 3 or 4 weeks. As I believe I've been saying it out to Polyphony. I think I even emailed them saying like, hey, look, is there any way you guys can nerf this? I mean, I've been posting up videos left and right about how this car is so overpowered on Group 4 and how it's really not fun anymore to race these types of races, especially at Red Bull Ring, where it's just long straights and the RCC just takes full advantage of everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I'm not sure how easy it is to change the settings on the RCZ, whether it's just lowering down the horsepower or just increasing the weight. But if it was my assumption, I mean, I thought it'd be that easy, or at least programming something in to make the other cars catch up to this so it can at least have some variety. But I'm not sure. Anyways, that's enough of the rant that I had here. We're going to jump straight into the race. If you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps that channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough of me complaining. Let's jump straight into this race. So coming to the race here, we are starting in third place as we are in the RCZ, as we are going to be right behind the Canadian and the American. And we have a Chilean right behind us in fourth place as we are coming down to the start finish line. So coming to the first corner now on the Red Bull Ring, we're heading down the straightaway as we're going to come to the 100-meter board, break right after the 100-meter board, take a very interesting look onto the inside of the American, but we have to back out of there, and that's actually going to cost us coming out of turn number 1. As you can see, the Chilean just makes an overtake on us, and so does the other Canadian as he's moving on to the inside here. We're going side by side as we're going to come into turn number 2 and to turn number 3. Coming to the small hairpin of turn number 3, we're going to brake as late as we can. And you can see that right here that the Canadian bumps into the Chilean, and Chilean goes a little bit wide as we're now making a move onto the outside of the Canadian, trying to make a move, trying to get into the slipstream of the Chilean here as we're forcing the Canadian down, and we're able to luckily get into the slipstream here. So if it's going to pull us up, we'll see if it's going to do so as we come into turn number 4, and we're able to kind of get the move down a little bit here as there's a car that moves into the inside, makes contact with the Canadian, and you can see right there that it bumps the Canadian out of the way, and the Canadian actually gets a 1-second penalty. Not sure why he got the 1-second penalty, but that's going to help us out in the end there as we are able to make our way up into fourth place and jump into lap number 2. So coming to lap number 2 right here, the Chilean and the American ahead of us are fighting with each other as they're flip-flopping their positions, and we're making a move onto the inside of the Chilean. The Chilean makes a move onto the inside, makes contact with us, and we're able to overtake him there, as kind of wasn't our fault. We were already on the inside there, as I think he just got a little bit loose, and then we were kind of just a bumper there to hold him straight, as he did get straightened back up after he made contact with us. But at least we're able to make the overtake now, and we're just going to focus on the Audi TT right ahead of us and try to make an overtake on him, as again, the Audi TT is really good on the middle section of the track, as those are the strengths of the Audi TT is it's really good on the corners compared to the Peugeot. But the Peugeot is just so fast on the straight lines that whatever time he makes up on the corners, that's where we make up is on the straightaway. So you can see right here that me and the Chilean are trying to catch up to the American right ahead of us, and you can see that we're just going to stay right behind him on the slipstream and see if we can make a move onto the inside now as we're coming into turn number 3. So coming to turn number 3, we're moving on to the inside, but he's covering us here as we're going to move on to the outside, but the Chilean's on our outside, and somehow we all make it here cleanly without making any contact with each other, and we're just going to continue following the American as we come out turn number 3 and leading us into the straightaway. So jumping to the straightaway here, we're just going to stay in the slipstream and see if we can make a move onto the inside, as again the American is just covering the inside, defending his position well, as we make a little bit of contact with him. Doesn't hurt him anyway, we just make a little bit of contact, hit him on the bumper to let him know that we're here and we're trying to make a move on the inside and get around him. But again, he's just defending very well, so we're just trying to hold off here, as we're not going to be able to make anything possible on these couple of corners coming up, because it's again the Audi TT strength right here on these fast sweeping corners. So we're just going to wait again for the straightaway, see if we can get onto the inside and try to outbreak the American right ahead of us so we can get a second place on this race. So jumping to the final few corners now as we're going to jump into the final lap. We're moving on to the inside, we're moving on to the outside, and we just can't find any which way to get around the Americans. He was covering 2 lanes there heading into the right-hander, and he's going to hold us up one more lap here as we're going to come into the final lap coming out of the final corner. So coming out of the final corner, we get a really great run as we're just trying to get back into the slipstream. Looking onto the inside now as we're coming to turn number 1. We're going to go side by side with the American here, so we're going to try to brake as late as we can, but the Audi actually brakes a little bit later than us. We almost make contact with him, and that actually slows us down. You can see the Chilean gets a really good run, makes a great overtake on the outside of us, and he is going to be in 3rd place, but he actually gets a half a second penalty for running wide on turn number 1, so that's going to help us out here as we're coming down to turn number 3. The Chilean and the American are going side by side here as the Chilean goes very, very narrow into that corner, and he's able to kind of get a little close to the American, but he runs a little bit wide there, and we're going to stay right behind the Chilean, overtake him on this penalty zone, and get back 3rd place now as we come into turn number 4. So coming into turn number 4 again, staying on the slipstream of the American. We're going to try to see if we can catch back up to him as we did lose some time because of the Chilean there. On turn number 1, you can see the American outbrakes himself right there. He goes very, very wide as we fast forward here on through these middle section of the track. Staying right behind the Audi right here. We're just trying to get any which way to catch up to the Audi as we're taking very, very wide lines, but that's actually going to cost us. And we almost go into the gravel trap there as we run very, very wide into the right-hander. Staying right behind the Audi, we actually get a half a second penalty. So this is going to be go time here. We have to get around this Audi and try to make a half a second gap, but I doubt we're going to be able to do so here as we run very, very wide coming out of that corner. As we come into the final corner now, we get another second penalty, and that's going to cost us a lot. You can see the train right behind us. And let's see where we finish as we have a 2-second penalty now, and we luckily finished in 5th, and we didn't lose that many positions, but unfortunately because we did finish on the podium, but because of those penalties we ended up going back all the way to 5th place now as we jump into our 2nd race. So coming to our 2nd race, we're able to increase our lap time a little bit by at least a 1/10 of a second, but it wasn't enough for this lobby. As you can see, we have a lot of fast guys on this lobby here as we're starting now on the start finish line, heading down the straightaway, leading us into turn number 1, braking as early as we can and trying to avoid making contact with the American right ahead of us. He goes very, very wide coming out of turn number 1. He actually gets a half a second penalty, as that's kind of the theme that's been going on this racetrack, is a lot of cars end up going very, very wide off of turn number 1, because since this is a front wheel drive, you just get a lot of understeer coming out of turn number 1, and it causes you to run wide, go onto the left hand side of that rumble strip, and then it gives you that half a second penalty. Going down to the straightaway leading into turn number 4, that's where you have to serve your penalty, and you just usually have a train of cars behind you, and you end up losing maybe 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 positions, as we were able to capitalize on the penalty that the car had ahead of us, and now we are upgraded into 7th place as we are jumping into the middle part of lap number 1. So jumping into the middle section here, we're focusing on this gaggle of cars right ahead of us, as the American is trying to go all around this gray Peugeot right ahead of us, and that's allowing us to catch up to him there as they're just kind of battling with each other and allowing us to kind of catch up to them as we're now heading into the final 2 corners on lap number 1. And we're just going to try to run our lines, try to get as close as we can to them, and see if we can try to make as many overtakes as we can, as we have about 3 laps left now as we come into the final corner. So jumping to the final corner, we're on a straight line train basically, as we're just following everybody ahead of us. But you can see a car ahead of us gets a half a second penalty, as I think he ran wide on the final corner. And again, what I was saying on the trend earlier, that a lot of cars are just going to run wide coming out some of these corners like we did there, and also 6th place, and end up getting a half a second penalty, as I believe 6th place actually gets a half a second penalty here, and you can see he does so right there. So that's going to benefit us as we come into turn number 3, because coming out of turn number 3, that's where the penalty zone is at, and that should be enough to benefit us and allow us to at least catch up to them. I don't know about overtaking, but at least we'll be able to catch up to them and at least get a good enough chance to make an overtake as we now come down to the penalty zone. So passing the penalty zone here to 2 cars ahead of us. I believe actually now 3 cars had penalties, so they all had to serve it there. As you can see, we're catching up to them now, as we are now close enough to get into the slipstream as we come into turn number 4. Jumping into turn number 4 right here, you can see a couple cars ahead of us get a little bit wide, but now a couple of cars are fighting for 2nd place as they're going side by side now into the middle section. Coming to turn number 6 here, we're braking right after the 50-meter board, and you can see that how much these cars are starting to gang up on each other and start battling each other. You see 1st place is just long gone. He's got about a 2-second lead. 2nd places, another car gets a half a second penalty, and that's going to catch us up here as we're now coming down to the final 2 corners, and you can see how much time we're gaining on the car right ahead of us because they keep battling with each other. So Coming to the final two corners again, we're catching up to the Peugeot right ahead of us as we try to break as late as we can, and you can see how much we're actually catching up to them as we come into the final corner. As we're now on the back bumper of 6th place, so we're gonna see if we can try to make a move onto the inside, come into turn number 1, or if not, we're gonna try to see if we can do it into turn number 3 now as we come into turn number 1. So jumping into the first corner here, we're trying to make a move onto the inside. We try to break as late as we can, and the 6th place covers us, so we have to back out of there as we almost made contact with him. But I was kind of worried here because we did corner cut the first corner, and fortunately we did not get a penalty there. So we were very, very lucky to go out of there without any penalties, as you're now coming to turn number 3 of the 6th place car now. So coming to turn number 3, we're seeing that a couple cars make a little bit of contact right ahead of us. You can see the gray car gets punted out wide. Not sure if that was from the Brazilian. And one of the cars that still has to serve his penalty is, I believe it's the Brazilian that has to serve it. Yes, it is. And you can see he loses a lot of positions there as we're just catching right back up to them as we're coming into turn number 4 now. So jumping into turn number 4, they're going almost 3 wide into the corner for 3rd place. That 2nd place is now starting to pull away from this little gaggle of cars. But we're just following each other, going to straight line as the Brazilian's trying to make a move onto the inside of the American. The American tries to make a move on the gray car right ahead of him. And you can see now they're going side by side as they make a little bit of contact there. And that's, again, just allowing us to stay with them here. As McGann tries to make a move onto the inside of the Peugeot. And you can see the Peugeot gives him some space there as the Brazilian has to back out of there, as he did get a bad exit coming out of that left-hander and into the right-hander. So very, very entertaining stuff here as we're coming into the final 2 corners. Again, we're still right behind the Brazilian as we come into the final 2 corners. Brazilian tries to make a move onto the inside of the American, but he has to back out there. I think they made a little bit of contact, as you can see the gray American is just holding everybody up here. And we are now on the back bumper of the Brazilians. We're just looking onto the inside, creeping. Are we going to be able to do anything here as we're making a move onto the inside? Break as late as we can, but the Brazilian breaks later, and we're going to follow right behind them. But we unfortunately get a really bad exit there as we're going to fast forward here heading into turn number 3. So jumping to turn number 3 again, they're going side by side as American makes contact with the gray car. You can see he just bumps him out of the way. I don't know if he's going to get a penalty because of that, but unfortunately for the gray car, as you can see, he loses 2 positions now as he's getting pushed out a little bit by the Brazilian, and the Brazilian is able to capitalize on that, get his 5th position, but unfortunately we weren't close enough to capitalize on that and also make the overtake too, as we're just trying to stay right behind them, and we haven't been able to get close enough now, as we are getting a little bit closer to the gray car now as we are coming into the final part of the middle section. So coming to the final lap again on the middle section, we're making a look onto the inside here as the gray car goes a little bit wide, and we are staying on the inside here as we're going to try to get behind him, but unfortunately we were just too far back to try to make any type of move, as we're going to follow him now and try to get a good exit coming out of here and try to see if we can get at least a better position here as we come into the final 2 corners. So jumping into the final 2 corners, we're going to brake as late as we can as we come into this right-hander, and unfortunately we are unable to do so. As you can see, 2 cars ahead of us are making contact. They're beating and banging right there as one of them goes very, very wide. Another one goes very wide again also, and you can see they're going 3 wide to the line. Where are we going to finish at? We finish in 7th place, as unfortunately nobody else ahead of us got a penalty. And that was a very, very entertaining race, as all of us were just basically in this gaggle of a pack and just beating and banging with each other. But we got the best seat in the house and we were just watching everything. But unfortunately, I wish we could have gotten ahead of all these cars and avoided all the trouble. But we just weren't fast enough to overtake some of these cars and capitalize on some of the mistakes. So finishing in 7th place on this race, I know we could have done a lot better, but I just struggle with this car, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people struggle with this car. It just has a lot of understeer when it comes out of the corners, and like I said, I don't see Polyphony fixing this car anytime soon, so I think we're just going to be stuck with it all the way until GT7. But anyways, if you guys found this video very entertaining, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the videos. It really helps out the channel when you guys do so, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.